Hey there, Corey here, the art archaeologist. So now that eco dyeing season is over for me for a while, now I have some time to kind of take a breath and do other stuff. And I have this file here, and it's I titled it Failed Eco Dyes, and these were a couple of kits that I had made that I had filmed, and they just didn't make the cut. They didn't make it into video form. I film darn near every kit I make, and so there's a lot of eco dye kits, but these just, I didn't find them worthy enough to do anything with. But I did hang on to them because, one, they're originals, and those of you who watch me often know that I cannot throw original artwork out. It's very difficult for me to do that. Plus, I wanted to kind of play around with these with some watercolor and see what I could come up with, so I thought we'd do a little bit of that today. And I'm just using my Sonnet set, my studio watercolors of 24 colors, and then you of course get the little names here, and I'm just really going to be working right out of the pans because I didn't think to get a palette. I might change my mind, but for now I think we'll just kind of work with what's in here a little bit and see what we come up with. So some of these areas in eco dyes end up really kind of dull and lackluster, and I kind of want to change that a little bit. And plus, I'd like to kind of paint where the petals are, and I'd like to do a little bit of pen work on these too. I thought that would be fun. So I've got this bright yellow for the stamen of these daisy style type flowers, and so I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow, and I want to be real careful to not get too much pigment going. I just kind of want to stain the petals that are here with this yellow and see what happens. This is the kind of artwork that I always get really apprehensive about at first, because it's like, oh, what if you ruin it? Well, these are considered failed eco dyes, so I can't really mess them up. That's the approach I'm taking with it anyway. And look at how pretty that is. The thing, I have seen a couple videos. There's not much that I know of here on YouTube where people are doing this, but I have seen a couple of videos on watercoloring eco dyes after the fact. And I was really intrigued by what I saw. Look at that. It's just really pulling the color together nicely. That yellow really pops. And the thing that I love so much about this kind of work is that the watercolor is so translucent. So you don't lose any of the texture underneath. You don't lose any of that beautiful detail from the alum water. And so I've been really wanting to do this for a while. This is the first time I have ever put paintbrush to paper to alter an eco dye, and so far I'm liking it. So I can see how you could get a little heavy-handed with the pigment. So you just want to start out a little bit lighter, a little bit watered down, and then you can always, of course, just add to it. And I'm just going to do the areas that I can see. I'm not going to try to create petals where there are none. I'm just going to try to make the suggestion of the ones that are already there. I have had a cold lately. You can probably hear it in my voice, so please excuse my froggy ribbit voice today. This is kind of fun. So I want to put some browns and I want to say gold tones. I need to get out my metallic watercolors too, because I'd really like to play around with that as well. So that's an awful lot of pigment right there, which is great because I can just come in with some water and catch it. I'm just pulling these petals down. I'm even gonna, well, I want to kind of halo around that with a different color and not make that the same yellow. But I am gonna kind of add it all in here. And I love artwork like this because there's no right or wrong way to do it, and you can really go on a little discovery journey. This is very appropriate for a treasure hunting Tuesday because the way that this yellow is popping over here, I am really liking it. I'm looking at this going, why didn't I play with these sooner? Because it really does feel like play. So it's funny, today as I'm sitting here painting, of course this will come out later, it's the day after Thanksgiving. And my birthday fell on Thanksgiving this year, so I got to turn the big 50 yesterday. And it was really nice. We had a couple people over for dinner, and we had a nice turkey and all that good stuff. And sometimes I get resentful because I don't want to cook on my birthday, and I grew up having to cook on my birthday every year for the family, and you know, I didn't appreciate that as a younger person for sure. And I even can get a little resentful about it now, but it's kind of funny because with age I've really chilled out quite a bit, and I don't get upset over stuff like I did when I was younger, and I am so glad for that because it's just exhausting to be irritated all the time, you know what I mean? And I was irritated so often. I had like an unconscious habit of being irritated for a lot of years. And that's not the case now, so I just thought I'd chit-chat about that a little bit. And, you know, I've got to say, I've been feeling a little down lately. And it's kind of funny because I have been having to Christmas shop and do all those things that we do around the holidays and getting ready for everybody. And I missed filming last week. I didn't put a video out, and I needed a break too, though. I really just needed just a little reprieve. But when I don't create for a long, if I have long blocks of time in my life where I'm not creating, and I'm sure you guys can totally relate to this, I get depressed and I get out of sorts, and it's almost like there's something off and I can't put my finger on it. So that's been happening to me lately, and it's kind of funny because I'm filming another video for you guys right now too. I'm moving into this altered canvas excavation video series, and it's going to be really fun, and I'm very excited about it, and I'm very excited to bring it and share it with you guys. But I was talking about how sometimes I get really hung up on wanting to bring stuff that I think you're going to want to see. And that's been happening to me a little bit lately. And I've been thinking, God, you know, what can I do? And I got away from what I wanted to do. And I started worrying more about what I should do instead of what I want to do. And that is always, always counterproductive for me. So I have to work in the vein of my inspiration. And, you know, it's so great because on this channel, I get to sing to the choir all the time. You guys totally get that, I'm sure, as artists yourself. So I had to just rein myself in and say, okay, what do you want to do? And then I did a little bit of exploring of ideas that I've had in the past, things I've wanted to bring to this channel. And, you know, you always know you're on the right track when that inspiration hits you and you start to feel some excitement about your ideas. So that's what happened with painting the eco dye fails and the altered canvas inspiration, you know, the altered canvas excavation, I mean, it is inspirational, but the excavation. So it's just been this fun little journey of self-discovery yet again, you know, because I have a tendency, and I think that this happens to all YouTubers. We want so much to create good content because there's pressure. You know, there's pressure to get monetized. There's pressure to get subscribers. There's pressure to have people actually like what you're putting out there. And it can really actually be even kind of painful at times. And, you know, I've been reprimanded on my channel. I've had some comments that were a little rough. I have to monitor the comments when I put out a new video because these gross little porn sites like to put stuff in my comments, and I remove them right away, but it can get really tiring, you know, and then to have people come on and give you a hard time, that's really tough for me because, and for all creators, you know, we do this part. This is absolutely free, as you guys know, and we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm human. I'm gonna misspeak. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna paint over something when you're like, oh, stop, it's perfect right there. I'm gonna move forward and and I'm gonna paint it, overpaint it, or whatever. You know what I'm saying. So it's just, you know, I'm at this point where I've been making videos for a while now, and I'm starting to figure out how I want my channel to be. And, you know, I'm a bit of a slow learner at times, and I found that if I just take my time, and it's okay to be a slow learner, and it's okay to take time, and it's okay to experiment with different things and different editing and different music, and I've been letting myself do that, you know, and there's a difference. I gotta say, you guys, that I love constructive criticism, and if I'm doing something that is just making you want to change the channel, I want to know about those things. But all I ask is just please say it with love, and not just to me, but to all of us YouTube creators, because we are so deeply invested in bringing, you know, bringing our A game to this deal. And you know, I have a good friend, Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. And she's been following me for a long time, and she's like, oh my gosh, your music is so loud, and she's told me things, and I'm saying it like she said it mean, but she really didn't. She was saying, hey, you know, I struggle to watch your video with the music that loud, and I struggle to be able to hear you when you've got music playing and you're talking, and all of that stuff has showed up to serve me to make my channel better, I think, for everybody. And so I'm all for constructive criticism, but when people don't say things to me with love and they're too rough on me, I'm really good at hitting the remove comment button, and I'm really not sorry for that. So I want everybody to have a good time while they're here, and it's impossible to please everybody. You know, it's absolutely impossible. So it's kind of funny when I watch videos, I make sure that, you know, if I comment at all, which I do a lot on a lot of videos I watch, that I'm positive and encouraging to that creator, because they are working hard. They're working hard to bring content, and their content may just plain old suck, right? Because I have a lot of videos on here that just suck because I didn't know any better at the time when I started. You know what I mean? And I've learned over time, and I'm still learning how to bring it. Check that out, guys. This is fun right here. Oh, I hope you make some eco dyes, and I hope you get some ones that you don't even like so that you can go, ooh, I'm going to take a paintbrush to that, because this right here is fun. And by the way, I know I talk in circles. I'm very ADD. It's part of who I am. You're going to have to accept it. Please do, because I love you for it. I'm using this raw sienna color here, and the yellow I used is this yellow medium. So those are the two colors I've used so far, and I'll make it a point to, when I switch colors, to tell you, because I have a tendency to work away and not tell you. But yeah, you know, we got to try stuff, and we got to kind of blow it every now and then to get it right. And, you know, I've had times where I'm like, do I even want to continue with this channel? And I think that happens to people too. I think that that's a real common thing, that we get to this point in our YouTube career, so to speak, where we're like, you know, is what I'm doing, does it even matter? Do people even care? Do they even like what I'm doing? And I think that is just part of it's just part of the deal. It's going to happen. It's going to happen with all of us. And so when I'm watching videos, I really love to, you know, be encouraging. And I've had a couple videos that I've had to turn off because sometimes they do that camera view, you know, from the top, and it's actually, they're using a tripod, and then they flip it when they publish their video, and so you're like hanging upside down watching the video. That makes me feel like I have to puke. So I can't watch those videos without getting nauseous. And you know, I'm afraid to say anything too, because as a creator, I don't want to discourage anybody from creating their stuff. So, you know, it's just this balancing act. And you know, most people, when they say stuff, I believe that they're saying it because they want to enjoy the experience, and it's feeling disappointing to them. And that's important to me, to know, hey, oh, you know, you're disappointed because I'm doing something that's making you nauseous. Well, we need to know that stuff, right? And we're only going to know it if you tell us. So I just invite you to say it with love, of course. Say it with love. And, you know, a gal gave me a comment, and she kind of said it with love. And I was having a really hard time, and for a couple weeks, a little while back, and her comment just rubbed me wrong, you know. And I was not mean, but I was very matter of fact to her, and I just didn't, I don't know, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. I'll tell you what, I'm keeping my channel, I'm keeping it going. I'm an artist, and I'm gonna create art. And I might as well hit record while I'm doing it. And then those of you that want to come along can. And it's fun for me to have this. And I'm not always, I bounce around so much. I don't have, you know, a strict watercolor channel. I don't have a strict eco dye channel. I bounce around. And I have to have that freedom. Otherwise, I'll shut it down. Because if I feel chained to having to create a certain way or just use a certain medium and not step outside of that, I'm out, because I have to change stuff up. It's just who I am as an artist. So check that out. I like how this came out. I think it's pretty fun. Why don't we do one more while we're sitting here? I'm going to pull out this file here. And it's funny because now you guys can hear me. And I got a microphone because I know that my sound quality is kind of crappy, shall we say, right? And I hate it. I hate it because it's a cord. It's a corded microphone. And I'm leashed, and and I'm like chained to it, and I haven't given myself a chance to get used to it yet. So I've got to tackle that because I definitely want better sound quality. But thanks to Cheryl being like, hey, I want to hear what you're saying, Corey. I want to hear your instruction. Thanks to her saying that, I've omitted music out of the background when I'm speaking. And you know, I really love a channel called Creation CC. She's a watercolor artist, and she has music playing extremely low in the background when she's talking. And you know, I may do that in the future, but for now I'm just have it the way I have it because I'm just right now trying to get some artwork happening in my life. And so if I do decide to do that, I promise that it will be really low. This is kind of a fun page. That's a contender. You guys are probably looking at these going, oh, do that one, do that one. But see, I mean, I just considered this whole kit pretty much a fail. I mean, and maybe I'm too picky, but I just didn't see a lot with this kit to be excited about here. So, I like being comfortable enough to chat. It's always been funny for me since I started this channel because I started all my first videos are all to music. And then when I started talking, it's always so weird for me because I turn on the camera and I'm sitting in this room by myself, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's taken me a long time to get comfortable with that. And I'll get comfortable and then I'll lose my comfort level with it. So it's just funny. It's a whole new weird world. Okay, this is like the only contender I came up with out of these. And these are not in my shop. These are not, there's not videos of these kits, and there won't be, and I don't care. And I hope you don't care because you're not going to be able to see it because it's a done deal. So we'll just roll with it from this point forward. These are really fun, these flowers. But what I don't like about stuff like this is I don't like the white parts that end up making the piece look unfinished. That's where I have trouble with this. So let's just play around with some staining. And then when this dries a little bit, I'm thinking I might do a little bit of outlining. On Creation CC, her channel, it's such a nice channel to watch, and I invite you to check her out. And as always, she doesn't know I'm saying anything about her. I just like to do that for you guys, as you know. She does a lot of she's all watercolor. She's a watercolor artist, and she does a lot of doodling. So you'll see an awful lot of that kind of stuff on her channel, and it's really fun. So I'm thinking I've got some like burnt dark reds and oranges in here, so I really do have quite a bit of freedom. But one thing I notice when you do this, you have to be really careful. Like, let's try this. We're going to try this bright orange color here. And I'm going to take it so easy on the pigment because it can overpower very quick. And I don't want that. So I'm going to come over here. Oh yeah, that's really light. And I'd rather have more water. Ooh, see how dark that is, but I can come in and just add water to this and kind of flow it between those flowers. It's a fun way to just get some staining on your paper. I don't like this orange straight out of the pan. I have developed a new love, and I'm a total rookie watercolor. I really love to mix my colors, and I need to get in the habit of just getting my, I'm gonna tone this, push it back a little with some raw sienna, and then that orange color is orange. So Actually, let's try pushing it back with this. I guess it helps to be in frame, doesn't it? There goes my dogs. So, let's try some of this gold ochre up here and see if we can push it back a little bit more. Ooh, I like that a little better. But, you know, mixing the colors, you get so much more of the earthy muted tones that I love. And I am not a big fan of watercolor straight out of the straight out of the pans. I love to mix. I've been practicing, I've been making palettes, I've been doing all this fun, trying to learn a little bit more about watercolor so that I can do more of it here with you guys, because it's a passion of mine. And this is why, look at all this. You get all this detail of all of that stuff that's happening underneath the watercolor. And that, to me, is just so fun and so beautiful. I enjoy it. So yeah, thanks for listening to me chit-chat a little bit about my journey as a YouTube creator. And now they've got new rules where I'm past it. I've got over 1,000 subscribers, but now they're going to be running ads on the channels that can't make any money. And my view on it is, we work really hard to bring this, and when we reach that point where we can make money, we should be able to make more than we can. And, I have no control over that. I feel like I have no say over it, but I think it's extremely unfair to have a bunch of creators that are making it possible for you to have attract advertisers to your business, and then to give the creators basically peanuts and to keep all the profits. And I know that YouTube is a business, and I totally understand that they have to make money because it takes a lot of bandwidth, and it takes a lot of overhead, just like any other business, and I totally get that. But I think a lot of times with corporate America that the workers get the shaft, and I don't see YouTube as much different. And maybe they'll shut me down for saying that, but that's my honest opinion of the deal. So that's quite a warm gold orange color there. I get tired of all the censorship because you know what? We all have an opinion, and we're all entitled to our opinion. And it's hard to work for free continuously. I like this color. I'm going to kind of stain this page this color and carry it throughout the page just a little at a time. And then we'll flip back over to that other page and do a little bit of pen work. So just some little insider tips for you if you don't have a channel. I know a lot of people that watch my channel have channels of their own, and they're like, yeah, girl, exactly. And we get so afraid to say anything in this day and age because we don't want to be shut down. But for crying out loud, I am not a robot, and I am not going to act like one. So, they've got a business to run, and I'm in agreement, clearly, because here I am doing this. But I just think that we should have it a little bit better here, personally. I really do. I think that we should be considered more because we work hard. Every person who creates regularly on YouTube works hard. And that is the truth. So I'm liking being able to stain this, and I'm finding I don't really have to be all that careful because I can just come in and add water. But the problem is if you're not working on an isolated area and you're just kind of staining, that you kind of have to go through the whole page because you're going to have that color transition from where you're staining to where you're not. So it's kind of good to just keep it consistent. You know, sometimes I have a tendency to make stuff too matchy-matchy and too uniform, and I really, throughout my artistic life, have had to kind of watch out for that for sure. So, you know, I gotta say, I love Susan Taylor Brown. She's one of my favorite channels on here, and she's such a real person, and she shares her life, not only her art, but she shares her life, and she kind of gives me more courage to open up more, you know, and share with you guys a bit of who I am. And I can be an opinionated little stinker a lot of the time. And I, you know, worry about that these days, as do we all, I think. And I just don't want to have to worry about it. Dang it. I want to be me. And not get canceled just because I have an opinion. I think that's ridiculous. I absolutely do. I do. There's not a person in my life that I don't disagree with. You know, I mean, there's nobody in my life that I agree with 100% on everything. Not anybody. And I can agree to disagree. And I love having the ability to do that. So, makes me sad. That's all. Just makes me kind of sad. All right, Corey, enough of the philosophy crap. Okay. Such a language, lady. Such a language. So I like this golden ochre color. It's quite orangey. And then look, it's so consistent. See what I'm talking about? You want to have variation. You want to have consistent variation, shall we say. That's always the balance I'm trying to strike. But I love it. Look, it's really pulled this page together. So now let's go ahead and add a new element. I'm going to try, and I'm going to do it very carefully. I'm adding some burnt umber here and there, and I'm just gonna kind of try to feather it in, because this is where it gets tricky. When it dries, sometimes you have a tendency to have some sharp edges that don't blend well, but watercolor is so amazing to be able to kind of move stuff around. So I'll tell you something else that's really neat too as a creator. Like, I'm looking at this live and you're looking at it on from the way my monitor perceives it, and I've got to tell you, those are two different things. And it's so funny because I'll be doing a video and I'll have like this blatant part of a painting that I don't fix. And it's so funny because I don't necessarily see it, even though it's like screaming at you guys. I don't see it. So that's another little thing I've learned over time in videos. It's just really funny. The view can change drastically. Let's throw some of this down here. Oh, I love that burnt umber color. I'm such a... Earth tones are my favorite, of course. Now, most of my eco dyes these days, this paper is mixed media Canson, and most of my eco dyes are Canson mixed media paper for the most part. That's what I use. I sandwich everything together with watercolor paper. I got a ton of videos on that. I have a whole eco dyeing playlist on here if you're interested in learning how to make these papers to begin with. I've got tons of videos on it, and I have two videos. I have one called Pro Tips, and it's all different kinds of tips that I've learned over the few years that I've been doing this. And so you're more than welcome to check that out, Pro Tips. It's in my eco dyeing playlist. And then a full tutorial I have is Twilight Forest. And I made that tutorial, of course, at the level of experience I had at that time. And I've learned things since then. So if you watch, if you're, I progress. As I learn things, I talk about them. So it's kind of a journey. The eco dyeing is so much of a journey for me, and discovery and learning. And so I really invite you to check those out. And if you have questions, I work really hard at checking. I make sure to check my comments daily, sometimes multiple times a day. And I'm really good about getting back to people. So if you have questions, ask away. That's what I'm here for, is to help you. I want you to have a magical artistic journey like I have been blessed with. And anything I can do to help make that happen, I will do. Within reason. Within reason. Let me add that. Okay. So yeah, that really warmed it up quite a bit. But look at the difference now. I had so much fun painting these petals this bright yellow color that I think I want to do it to this flower only. Let's start there and see what happens. This round brush that I've been messing with here is a number 9. I hope I'm reading it right. It might be a 6. You guys probably know better. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Now the other brushes I have sitting here, as a point of reference, I'm going to call this a 9. It's a pretty big round. I'm going to move to my 7. Yeah, it has to be a 9 because it's much bigger. Okay, it's a 9. So I'm going to go ahead and move to my 7 because I want a little bit more control over the detail here. All right, and I think I'm going to go for the same yellow. It's so intense on this one, and I like that. And this one is a little too cool for me. This one's a little warmer. This one's too orange. So it's the Goldilocks syndrome. Too cool, too warm, too soft. You get it. Look at that bright. And what is so fun about this is, look, all of those details from the petals that are underneath are coming up and shining through. And I really want this yellow color all the way up to the center. I love the brightness of that. Usually I'm very into subdued, toned down stuff, but this just kind of makes this one flower pop. Really fun. So yeah, let's circle way back around now, back to Creation Cece. Her style is really, really fun, and she does something that I love, and I've seen quite a few people do it, and it's been something that's been going on for years with a lot of artists. But she will pick her color palette and paint it on a piece of paper before she does every painting. And I just think that's brilliant, and I love that, and I want to start doing that the more I do this watercolor. So, there is a science to art, but I'm one of those people where I have to have the freedom to play. Like, my concern about doing that is I'll make a palette, and then I'll get resentful of the palette because one or more colors is not working for me, and then I'm gonna get all mad and not do the painting at all. So I have a tendency to have stuff like that happen. So I'm just gonna make a petal there. Who cares, right? So I think that's kind of funny, but I do have a tendency to, when I get locked into something, to get a little agitated about it. So I'm going to try it, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's actually going to be more helpful than it is harmful to me. I resent confinement. What can I say? As most of us do, right? Really fun. This is fun. It's the funnest. I know, there's no such word. Don't care. Okay. So I'm thinking I like that so much that I want to do something with these two, but I think what I'd like to do is have this be the focal point of this little eco dye here. And I'm kind of wanting to push these back ever so slightly. And I like the autumny, orangey, reddy vibe that's happening here. So I think what I'll do is paint these two here with the raw sienna. Since I don't have a palette here, and that will change. I have to be careful because I like to get on here and say, ooh, I'm going to do this, and ooh, I'm going to do that. And then I forget that I say it. I was laughing with Cheryl the other day. We were chit-chatting, messaging each other, and I'm like, she said she wanted to see something. And I'm all, what exactly are you referring to? Because I tell you guys I'm going to do things. I got to really, really watch that. So forgive me for that. Thank you so much for your forgiveness in advance. And if I say something and don't do it, and you really are like, oh my God, I wanted to see that. She's making me mad because she said she was going to do it and I haven't seen it. Just pop it in the comments below with love. And I will be happy to accommodate. So this looks like an underlying petal, but I'm going to make it part of this flower up here. And if it doesn't work out, I'll change it later. That's the beauty of this. This is fun, you guys. Fun. This is the kind of artwork that I can have a tendency to get afraid of when I've never done it before. It can be like, oh, I get... sometimes I overthink it, and then I always get around to trying, but I can really, really overthink stuff and kind of incapacitate, myself. But I always get over it, it's a good lesson to not overthink things. Like that is really dark and it's too contrived. So I've got to offload some of this pigment over here. And then I'm going to come back in here and soften this a bit. That's the beauty of watercolor too, is you can just offload and then you can grab some water and soften your edges. Oh, it's such... I am having quite a rapturous romance with watercolor. Oh, that's a colorful way to put it, isn't it? Okay, so I got a little bit more water and I want to get rid of these hard lines and kind of feather that out a little. Plus you can always wet it and then take your paper towel and just blot at that rough line. Ooh, too much. But watercolor is so forgiving where acrylics are not, and there's always ways to fix acrylic too. My solution to acrylics is you can always paint over it. You can't necessarily take it away like you can watercolor, but you surely can paint over it. And I don't get uptight like I used to, I'll say it that way, about painting, because I have got enough experience that I've learned how to paint over, remove, put, collage is such a fun medium for me, because if I have something that just looks terrible, I can throw something right on top of it and it is not a problem. And it takes away the fear. You hear my little Joey down here growling away. He's Mr. Personality. I'll have to do a little clip of him and then put it up here so you guys can see him. He's such a little sweetheart. He is ornery as all get out, but I love and adore that about him. So this looks a little contrived up here, and this is a little rough there. So I'm going to get my brush wet. It's hard to get everything in frame. And then I'm going to wipe off most of the water here. Notice how I just put my napkin right on my painting. I don't care. And it's good to be that way because, you know, I speak so often about being cured from the disease of perfectionism, and I mean it. I mean it, people. I was so perfectionistic for so long, and it's debilitating to be that perfectionistic. It stops you in your tracks, and what good is that? What good is that, I ask you? And if you have a good answer for me, I will give you a prize. Hey, speaking of prizes and that kind of stuff, I've been trying to figure out how to do giveaways. I am an artist who I am really good with a paintbrush. I am not so good with social media. I'm wanting to do sales in my Etsy store, and I know it's super easy. But I have a little bit of fear around it, so I've been procrastinating. But that is going to happen. I am going to conquer my fear and put on some sales and make it really fun. So I just have to sometimes work through the stupid fear that I get, like we all get, right? I know it's all of us. Please say it's all of us. I know it is. But, you know, I see so many YouTube artists and they're so great with the social media and they're posting all the time and showing all their beautiful stuff. And you're lucky if you see me on Facebook once a month. I'm just not into social media. And oh, I'm glad we have it. It's great, but I really value my life and I value being unplugged. And so I love having this channel, but I have my setbacks because I don't always have my act together when it comes to technology. So I love that you guys are patient with me, and I want to have sales and I want to adjust my prices a little bit lower on my eco dyes. I've been looking at them. I think they're a little high. They're not bad, but I just want to tweak it some. So, you know, I can't be the only one who's kind of, you know, anti-social media, so to speak. I cannot be the only one. Sometimes I feel like I am, though, because my friends are like, oh, did you see this on Facebook? And didn't you catch that on Instagram? And I'm all, no, I did not. Sure did not. Okay, so that's competing a little bit with the flower, at least from my view. But I love this yellow. So what I'm going to do is just make a mini adjustment to it, and I'm going to add a little tiny bit more of this golden ochre. I've still got a lot of that yellow on my brush. It's okay. I don't care. Just going to kind of knock it back a little because I really want this to be the star of the show. And I may take a black Sharpie to this flower and totally ruin it. But I gotta try, because if I don't try it, I won't know. So we're gonna do it. Alright, this is pretty fun here. I'm gonna kind of blot some of that away. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got kind of a stark line here. I'm just gonna soften that out with some water. So I think that's pretty good. This is still a little too contrived over here. So I'm just, see, and this is where where the perfectionism just wants to stay alive in me. It keeps trying to keep a hold on me. Dang it. Okay. I just don't want stark lines on here. I don't want it to look contrived. Unless the petal's already doing that, or what I'm doing is already doing that. So I've got a little bits of yellow. I want to do a tiny bit more yellow over here. For a while there, I was getting really hung up on having my videos be shorter, and I just decided, you know, they're going to be what they're going to be. And I want to make them fun, and I do like shorter videos because I like to watch shorter to the point videos, but I also like to get thorough instruction too. So I'm just loosening the reins on myself. I think I'm going through some growing pains right now. I think that's what's happening to me here. So I'm throwing this yellow around a little bit here and there because you want to do that. Yes, Joey, I'll be done soon. You want to do that to give your painting some balance. So I'm going to throw even some more up here, and I'm just going to be kind of wild with it. And it really brings some harmony into your work to do that, of course, as we know. That's a consistent theme with a lot of artists. Let's throw a tiny bit of golden ochre right in here, kind of warm that spot up a little bit. A lot of artists say that, you know, if you're going to put that color in one part of your painting, put it in another part because you want some, it'll bring balance, and it works like magic. So if you haven't heard that, I am here to tell you. All right, loving it. This is really, really therapeutic. And you know, this is why the therapy I get from doing artwork is why for my entire life, since I was old enough to pick up a paintbrush, I have always come back to art. And I've left it a few times in my life for years at a time. And yeah, I'll get into that. That's a story for another day. But, you know, I suffer greatly without it. And it's, to me, it's as good as seeing a therapist. It's just a really powerful healing tool. And everything that I've ever been through in my life that required some healing, art has pulled me out every single time. Art has allowed me to kind of take that pain into my work, even if it doesn't show up like pain, and it gives me a place to go with it. You know, art will give you a place to go with your pain, and that is, I could cry. It's so powerful. It's been so powerful in my life. So I'm the big 5-0 now. I think my hormones are a little wacky. Sometimes I get a tad bit more emotional than I want to be. Okay, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more yellow down here just to brighten that little area up. But look at how fun. So I was able to keep all of my details, all this great grungy detail in this little painting, and in my mind and to my eye, it is improved. It's not a masterpiece in my opinion, but it is beautiful, I think. So you can do a lot with a little bit of watercolor. Now this is pretty wet, and this one's dry. And look at how fun. I almost don't know how to take pen work to this because it's so broken. But let's try it. Let's do this. I'm going to bring you in a little. And I'm going to outline what's here. And it may ruin it, but there's only one way to find out, you know. And it is ending up being a matter of opinion anyway. So I'm just going to hit the areas that are yellow. And I'm really going to bring them out and make them very pronounced. Creation CC is probably one of the best examples that I can give you of doodling over watercolors that I have found. And if you guys have favorites, please, please, please tell me, because I love to hunt up treasures, as you know. I am very into it, and I would love to see what you guys are seeing if I'm not seeing it already. But she really works magic with her pens, and she seems to me to not have as much apprehension and fear as I experience. So, okay, I kind of like it. It's kind of weird. I think if this flower was completely intact, that it may look a little bit better. But it's still fun to mess around and just learn, you know, try new stuff. Most of what I do on this channel, a lot of what I do on this channel is exploration. So I'm just going to add some dots to the dark side of this flower center. Yeah, it's okay. And then here, you know, here's this leaf here. Oh, I'd love to kind of pull it out without ruining it, but that is such a stark black. Darken that in. It's different doing this, for sure. And it's funny too, when I'm doing something like this, like I'll have to, I hope I was in frame for that, for Pete's sake. Sometimes I have to just take a step back and turn away from the artwork and not look at it for a couple hours, and then come back to it just to get a fresh perspective. Ooh, I hope I was in frame for that. Darn it. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm liking this. And that's not to say I wouldn't love it on a different piece too, because it might just be this piece here. My lines, my paper's so warped that my lines are getting all weird. But something I love about Creation CC is she will draw and her lines will not line up with the watercolor, and she does it in such a way that it just turns out so magical and beautiful and amazing. So I figure, why not give it a shot? I'm just going to kind of make separations here where there are none. That's a little different now. So I think it kind of took away from this more than it added to it. But I think if I vary some of the thicknesses. Shush, Joey, cool it. And let's put some lines in here and there. There's a lot to be said for veining. I've got a lot more experience with doing Zentangle over watercolor than I do this style. Frame. But, I mean, I love the Zentangle. I think that is so fun to do. But I really just want to expand, of course, you know. So just allow yourself to mess stuff up. That's what I do. And I've had some of my best art, and I'm sure everybody has stories like that. You know, you allow yourself to, you take off the chains off your creativity, and You go into it knowing, hey, I may totally blow this, and I may end up throwing it in the trash and being temporarily heartbroken, but I'm gonna do it, you know? And then you end up with this magical chest of discoveries, treasure discoveries that happens as a result of that. So I think it's well worth to throw a piece or 10 in the trash just to get the experience. And I generally don't throw anything out, guys. What I end up doing is painting over it, or, you know, sometimes I throw stuff in the trash. Here, let me back up. Okay, so a little bit different, a little bit fun. I think I'll name this video, I don't know, a little bit of staining and a whole lot of talking. Something like that, because we got a whole lot of Corey talking in this video here. It's fun though. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I've said it many times on this channel too that I'm just such a loner artist, and you know, I've always struggled a little bit socially, and that's totally okay with me. I don't mind that about myself, but it's definitely, you know, I have an awareness of it for sure. And so it's just kind of funny to me because it's apparent to me when I'm filming and talking, I notice it's like, ooh, yeah, that social awkwardness shows up. But it's totally cool. And I think us creatives, I think we have that more. I think we struggle with being social more than most people, you know? And I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I'm absolutely sure there is. But yeah. So it's just been a really fun kind of adventure for me to have this channel. And I also am going to do a lot of work where I just show you the step and play music and don't talk, because I don't always do well with talking and working. You know, I lose my train of thought, and then I like stagger around, of course. And to me, that's just not a lot of fun, really. I see a lot of videos like that, and yeah, it's okay sometimes, it's not other times. I don't know. I kind of like it. It's fun to practice. I'm not sure I'm in love with this. I'll say that. I'm definitely not in love with this. But fun practice. And before I started doing the ink mark on here, I really liked how this watercolor brought out the colors. So it's just something, you know, here's one more shot of this. It's something to play around with and just get a feel for. And I think with the right eco dyes, like this is so broken that the beauty got a little lost with the pen work, in my opinion, just because it's so broken apart. And I don't know, I may be overthinking it. So this one, I am gonna blacken this one flower because there's black throughout this piece. And so I'm just gonna do it to this one flower to pull it all out and make it really the star of this show. Okay, already not too thrilled with that. I'm probably just being too hard on myself and my art. You know, that happens. But okay, I'm just gonna hit it where those lines are. And see, the thing I don't like about this is that it takes away the true lines of the actual flower, but we're going with it. And, you know, a brown pen might have been a better choice, a lighter colored pen too, so there is that. This is something I'm getting a new respect for Creation CC, because I'm finding this takes quite a bit of courage to do this. Now, it's been easier for me on my watercolors because I think watercolor lends itself beautifully to pen work over it. But this is an eco die, so it's slightly different. There's some interesting markings in here that are just like dots instead of lines. It's kind of fun to just follow along. Yeah, I get kind of impatient with myself a lot of the time, and I don't want to take so long to do stuff, and I don't want to film it in real time, and I get hung up thinking that you guys don't want to sit through it, and because I know I don't for the most part. I really don't. When I'm watching videos, I like, 20 minutes of non-stop action and instruction. And so that's where I really gravitate towards. So this is just a little jumping off the beaten path for me here. And thanks for riding along with me. See, I liked this so much better before I did this harsh black. I think it really took away from it. But that's all right. Now I know. I know that some of these eco dyes are just going to be really well served to get some watercolor staining in them, and that's it. I think this just gives this, and it may be that I need more practice, but it's just kind of coming off a little contrived, so. A little cartoony, which doesn't thrill me, You guys are probably like, oh, stop it, Corey, you're just being too hard on yourself. Okay, I'm going to throw a stem in here because I can. Just going to do it. All right, so there it is. Now, not a big fan of the pen work, but I'm a very big fan of the staining. So I'm going to pick some more of these, and we'll do some more of this in the future. And I think I'll leave the pen work out. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what's happening. But this has been really fun, and I'm so glad you guys hung out with me today and got to know me a little bit better. And I hope that you like me a little bit more now that you know me a little bit better. And if not, that's okay, because there's lots of channels to choose from. But I sure do want you to come back and hang out and do some artwork. No matter what, just keep doing your artwork. So thanks again for stopping by, and if you haven't subscribed yet, of course I invite you to. I definitely want to have you come along on my channel for all the fun stuff we're doing, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.